Now at 10, concerns from residents about why a Neosho County, Kansas wind farm hasn't been active and the response from Liberty Utilities. Plus, the city of Joplin swears in new council members and its new mayor. And Big Brothers Big Sisters of Pittsburgh host an event to recruit more mentors.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Liberty Utilities' Neosho Ridge Wind Farm in Neosho County, Kansas is no longer working. The county commissioner says he wants to know why. KOAM's Chris Warner has more.
Despite all the wind we've had recently, the turbines in Neosho County haven't been turning. District 1 Commissioner Paul Westhoff says it's been more than 2 weeks since they were last operating.
What I was told is that their main transformer blew up, shorted out, whatever, and then their backup one did, and that's why they're down. So now they're waiting on another transformer.
Westhoff says he has concerns about those who signed contracts to allow the turbines to be built on their property.
If they're not spinning, the leasers are not getting paid because they get paid so much per megawatt, I believe, and if they're not spinning, and my concern, Chris, is the county going to get their $1 million in May?
Westhoff voted no on allowing the wind farm to be built in Neosho County. He cited safety concerns with the turbines and concerns that residents had. Westhoff says now, with the transformer failure, it's brought those concerns up once again.
Absolutely. I mean, you look up there at Allen County, they've had a lot of problems up there.
We did reach out to Liberty Utilities, who told us they're currently investigating the cause of the transformer failure and that there's a possibility the transformers may need to be sent back to the factory for assessment and repair. As for how long they'll be down, Liberty says that depends on what caused the failure in the first place. Liberty added that despite the wind farm being down, it won't have an impact on customers because Liberty is part of the Southwest Power Pool, so they can pull in extra power as needed. Another concern Westhoff noted was the fact that while the turbines are out, the FAA lights on their tops are also out. And Liberty tells us they have notified the FAA and that a notice is on file with the FAA to alert aircraft that the lights aren't working in that area. In Neosho County, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Liberty officials tell us they're asking residents to treat the wind turbines as if they're still active and to stay at least 100 meters away from them for safety. A funeral procession this afternoon accompanied the body of a former Joplin police officer who died of a heart attack last week. Officer Michael Gaiman served with the Joplin Police Department from 1999 to 2019. A public funeral service in Arenado, Missouri this afternoon was followed by a private burial at Mount Hope Cemetery in Webb City. Let's check in with Doug Heddy for a first look at the weather.
All right, we had the showers, we had the thunderstorms across the region last night through the morning hours and then started to taper off once we got into the afternoon. A little bit of sunshine late today, 64 started at 51. Normal high is 68 degrees across the region. But you can see all these showers, thunderstorms working out of here by mid-afternoon. Most of us have looked pretty good since that point in time. But look at all the heavy rain. Northwestern counties, not a drop. But once you get down south of Pittsburgh, through Cherokee County, Jasper County, a nice swath of 4 to 6 inches of rain. So that's why we did have some flash flooding in place over the past 24 hours. All the severe weather now down to our south, eastern Oklahoma, parts of Arkansas, but we are going to see a return to thunderstorms by late tomorrow. Temperatures right now, we're sitting upper 50s to near 60 degrees. We'll drop back near 50 later on tonight. We'll look at the next few days here in just a bit.
We'll see you then. A lightning strike is blamed for a fire at a home on Highway 96 east of Carthage early today. Complicating things, high winds fueling that fire. Firefighters got it under control in just over an hour and there were no reports of injuries. The Joplin City Council tonight held a special meeting to recognize some new members and say farewell to some old ones. 4 new council members were sworn in today after winning their seats in last week's election. Keenan Cortez was reelected as mayor pro tem and Gary Shaw reelected to council. Doug Lawson was sworn in as Joplin's new mayor and says he has plans to help the JPD.
Compensation for our police. It's something that the citizens of Joplin expect. It's something that the police deserve, and We're competing with the whole world basically to find police officers of the quality that Joplin has come to expect. We're going to have to pay them, so that's the big issue.
Lawson and Cortez will serve in the positions until 2024. One Joplin City Council candidate who lost last week is demanding a recount. The unofficial results on election night showed Brian Evans trailed his closest opponent by only 13 votes. Today, Evans held a news conference about the recount effort and about concerns that some residents may have gotten the wrong ballots.
I realized I didn't run for power. I did not run for prestige. I ran because I wanted to make a difference for the people who live here in this city. I wanted to make our community safe. I wanted to give our police and our fire department the resources and the money that they need.
Evans says he will pay for the recount with funds from his campaign. Big Brothers Big Sisters in Pittsburgh is looking for mentors, or BIGs. The organization, which connects youths with adults who can spend time with them and mentor them, hosted a recruitment event today at the Main Street Axe Company. Attendees were able to throw some axes and listen to a presentation from the organization's area director.
So we have a lot of success stories from kids in our program. A lot of them, it's just going out and engaging with community members, learning how to socialize. Others, they've not had anybody in their family go to college, so they're learning, what they want to do when they grow up.
People who showed up also had the chance to win a gift card. April is Donate for Life Month. It honors those who've donated life-saving organs and acknowledges those still waiting for a transplant. 6-year-old Rowan Reeves from Joplin received a heart transplant 4 years ago and is still doing well with plans for the future.
He will do something with music, absolutely. As far as his second chance at life, he has been given a huge opportunity, and he is thriving so wonderfully.
Freeman Health System and Mercy Hospital Joplin, along with Midwest Transplant Network, will have a celebration of life tomorrow, honoring those whose donation gave life to another. Coming up, President Biden announces new regulations cracking down on so-called ghost guns. Plus, COVID cases are on the rise in some parts of our nation, but health officials say it's not time to worry. Today, President Biden and his Justice Department announced new executive regulations to address homemade weapons known as ghost guns. Those homemade firearms can be assembled using a 3D printer or with kits purchased online. They lack serial numbers, which makes it impossible for law enforcement to trace them. The new proposed rules would require gun makers to include serial numbers, be federally licensed, run background checks, and keep purchase records as long as they're in business.
Because of these updates, law enforcement will have additional crime gun intelligence to stop gun violence.
The new regulations are likely to face lawsuits from manufacturers and gun rights groups. Federal and local officials are monitoring what they're characterizing as an uptick in COVID-19 infections in some parts of the country. But they say the rise is no cause for alarm. Reporter Elise Preston has the latest.
Coronavirus infections, mostly driven by the BA2 subvariant, are rising, especially in the Northeast. In Philadelphia, where cases have increased by more than 50% in the previous 10 days, officials have reinstated an indoor mask mandate for public spaces.
By wearing masks consistently, we can continue to go about our daily lives and continue to take part in the life of our city without contributing to increasing transmission of COVID-19.
The spikes are being watched closely, but so far, hospitalizations remain low, the lowest at any point during the pandemic.
I do believe we're going to see cases go up and down. Obviously, if it gets substantially worse, we're going to want to look at issues like masking. But at this moment, these numbers are still quite low.
New York City Mayor Eric Adams has canceled his in-person events this week after testing positive for COVID. He says he has mild symptoms and plans to work from home.
Helene Lakoff says she has learned to live with the constant risk.
If I get it, I get it. It's learning how to manage within. COVID is here to stay, and it's how to manage within it, how to live your life.
In Washington, D.C., Congress has yet to approve new funding for the continued fight against the virus. The latest White House request is for $22.5 billion, while the Senate settled on a $10 billion compromise that has since been derailed.
So the question is, what do we need this money for? We need it for vaccines. We need to make sure that we have plenty of testing available.
If it is passed, the deal would be paid for by repurposing unspent funds from the $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief package enacted in March of 2021. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
The mask mandate in Philadelphia takes effect on April 18th. On the Columbia University campus in New York City, masks are now required in classrooms. A new international study finds children older than 5 are at a higher risk of COVID-related multisystem inflammatory syndrome. Symptoms include fever for at least 3 days, inflammation, gastrointestinal problems, and blood clotting issues. Children ages 6 to 17 had a higher risk of admission to the ICU than kids 5 years and younger. More than 17,000 Etsy sellers went into vacation mode today in the start of a week-long strike. They're protesting changes to seller policies the company made over the past 4 years with the goal of creating a union. The latest change, seller transaction fees went from 5% to 6.5% today. They want the fee increase dropped, a crackdown on resellers, and the option to opt out of off-site ads, among other changes. A baby formula shortage in many parts of the U.S. is forcing retailers to ration their supplies. Walgreens is limiting shoppers to 3 infant and toddler formula products per transaction. A recent review of supplies at 11,000 stores indicated that nearly 30% of popular baby formula brands may be sold out. Part of the problem stems from an Abbott Nutrition recall in mid-February for select lots of Similac and other formulas made in Sturgis, Michigan. A little bit later, the Colgan Panthers and Baxter Springs Lions meet on the baseball diamond for a CNC matchup.
Plus, we still have some more thunderstorms in the forecast. We're going to look at that coming up. Well, of course, we had the showers, thunderstorms last night into the morning hours, even early afternoon, and then things started to taper off, and we looked pretty good the rest of the day, but we had almost 2 inches of rain. Since midnight, we had 1, 2, even isolated 3-inch amounts before midnight. A lot of areas picked up some very heavy amounts over the past 24 hours or so. Over 10 for the year, so we're above normal by about 1.5 inches for this time of the year. It looks okay right now. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course, Indigo just outside of Seneca, Missouri. Temperatures, most of us, mid to upper 50s. We'll drop back to about 50 later on tonight. 7th in range line, currently outside, sitting at 58. Easterly winds at about 10, humidity kind of high at 84%. Any showers, any thunderstorms we had earlier, these are gone. We look fine. Everybody is dry at this point in time. If you head south, you can see all the severe weather that has been ongoing and down through parts of Arkansas and then back through southeastern parts of Oklahoma. All of this will stay to our south through the overnight hours. Here's our next wave, which is getting organized, and this will start to affect us late in the daytime hours tomorrow. All right, we do have an elevated risk for severe weather on the Kansas and the Oklahoma side. I'm not really even worried about this. This is for 2 main reasons. One, afternoon thunderstorms, which I don't even think are going to get going, and then thunderstorms late tomorrow night. So I'm going to keep this pretty low. I'm going to keep all of our threats low. Tornado, hail, wind, and rain. I really think most of us will stay dry throughout the daytime hours tomorrow. On Wednesday, it shifts east. So especially on the Missouri side, we have at least a low severe threat in the morning, but the bigger threat is going to stay across central Missouri, eastern Missouri, and then down through Arkansas once again. So our timing, 5 a.m. until late morning or so, but again, I'm going to keep all the risk low. We'll reevaluate that as we go into the daytime hours tomorrow. All right, tonight's going to be fine. We'll get some clouds in here later on tonight. Temperatures will actually warm to near 60 by dawn. May even get a random shower during the morning hours, and then mostly cloudy skies. We heat up. It's going to be warm. It's going to be windy. We go into the lower 80s. 60 to start, 74 by noon. High temp of 81. Very slim shot that there could be an isolated thunderstorm during the afternoon. You can see one little guy trying to pop up, but again, I'm not worried about this at this time. As we go into tomorrow night, any thunderstorms stay well to our north and to our west. So we're going to go all the way to midnight. You can see the storms way out there. And then by early morning, that band of thunderstorms really just kind of fall apart. They start to regenerate early Wednesday morning, kind of get going in southwestern Missouri, but I don't think we see too much of a severe threat. And then most of these push on by, so we'll see the bigger severe threat out across central Missouri and down through Arkansas. So the bottom line here is I'm not very concerned about this event, but it's something I'll watch and see if anything changes for us tomorrow. 81 tomorrow, 62 on Wednesday. We're going to drop probably into the 40s Wednesday afternoon. 60 on Thursday, back to 70 on Friday. Some afternoon thunderstorms once again.
People have been asking me when we're going to have our last freeze for the year.
I don't think we're there yet. We may get it Thursday morning. I know I have 37, but we may get down there.
Wow.
Yeah.
People want to get their plants
I know
outside
they do. I
and
know
in
they
the
do.
ground. See what you can do about
All righty.
it. Thanks, Doug. Still ahead, Webb City baseball aims to snap a 4-game losing streak at home against Carthage. And Girard softball hosts Pittsburgh, looking to stay undefeated this spring. Jacob Leonard joins us with that and more up next.
The Colgan Panthers and Baxter Springs Lions meet tonight for an early season CNC showdown. The Panthers have played a brutal schedule to start the season, facing undefeated teams Girard and Frontenac and bigger Missouri schools Joplin and Neosho. Now, Colgan tries to get their first win against Baxter today, while the Lions aim for back-to-back wins for the first time this season. This was a pitcher's duel. First inning, Kyson Bennett gets the strikeout. Baxter strands 2 runners in the inning. Other side, Cameron Williamson for the Lions. Nice curveball for the strikeout in the bottom half. To the second, Bennett showing off his curveball too, freezes him for the strikeout. Moments later, Bennett outside corner. Kyson Bennett had himself a day. He strikes out 6 on the mound and gets the walk-off hit in extra innings. Colgan gets their first win, 3-2 in 8 innings. So in game 2, Colgan tries to make it a sweep. Look at this, another 1-run game. It's the Panthers doing it again, 7-6. Gus Keller collects 3 RBIs for Colgan. On the Missouri side, Webb City at home against Carthage. Cards trying to snap a 4-game losing streak. It was all Webb City today. They win at 11-1 for their first COC win of the spring. Eric Fitch goes 4 for 5 on the day and collects 3 RBIs for the Cardinals. To softball now, the Girard Trojans host the Pittsburgh Purple Dragons tonight. Girard has been on fire to start the season. Those Trojans are 6-0 entering the night, including 2-0 in the CNC. And the second, big swing here for the Trojans. It's Sam Bruchin up and out to center. Girard out to the early lead with that solo shot. Skipping ahead now all the way to the 7th. Emmeline Sinnekit pops it up. Infield fly. She is out, but miscommunication or something there. Ball gets down. Runners advance to second and third. So Liam McGowan, a chance for a little insurance, shoots it back up the middle. McGowan brings both runners home. And that's it. Girard shuts out Pittsburgh 3-0 to move to 7-0 on the season. And SEK, big one here today with Fort Scott hosting Chanute. Both teams enter the day 2-0 in the league. Tonight, it's Fort Scott rolling by the Blue Comets 15-5. Allie Brown drives in 4 runs on the afternoon. The Tigers are now 3-0 in the SEK. The Kansas City Royals finish up their first series of the season this afternoon against the Cleveland Guardians. Now, the Royals have won 2 out of the first 3 in the 4-game series. And Kansas City aiming for the series win before heading to the other side of the state for 2 against the Cardinals. Salvador Perez up. This is his first hit of the season here. Scores Bobby Witt Jr. at that point. The Royals down just 1. And the 4th, Oscar Mercado puts this one up and out to left. His second of the season. Cleveland goes up 4-1. Now the Royals would tie it back up, but here Cleveland up 1, and Stephen Kwan puts it in the corner with the bases loaded. That brings all 3 runners home and gives Cleveland a little breathing room. They would make it a 4-game split. Guardians take the finale 10-7. The Cardinals' third baseman Nolan Arenado is the National League Player of the Week. In the team's first 3 games against the Pirates, Arenado went 6 for 12 with 2 home runs and 3 doubles. He drove in 7 runs in those 3 games to lead the National League in that category. The Cardinals are back in action tomorrow night hosting the Royals at 6:45. And that's it for sports. We're back with more news after this.
Take time now to honor a local veteran. Warren Stoltz served in the U.S. Army in 1943 and 1944. The Sheldon, Missouri native was stationed in Germany and received a Purple Heart. And we are proud to salute Technician 5th grade Warren Stoltz, a 4-state hero. You can learn about lots of other heroes, more than 3,000 of them in our database. They're from various eras. There are also some currently serving service members. You can also submit a member of your own anytime, any hero. Just go to our website. It's KOAMnewsnow.com. Hey, and don't forget, you can be the first to know about the day's weather with the KOAM Skywatch weather app, especially important now as we get into the spring storm season. You can get those severe weather updates sent straight to your phone. Best part is the price, absolutely free of charge. It's available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Hey, some out-of-this-world items hitting the auction block in New York on Wednesday. The showstopper at Bonham's New York auction, lunar dust, gathered by astronaut Neil Armstrong after he became the first man to walk on the moon with the Apollo 11 mission way back in 1969. The lunar dust comes with pretty hefty price tag, as it's expected to fetch between $800,000 and $1.2 million. Again, this is for dust. It's also at the auction an original fragment from the rocket launcher that launched Sputnik 1 into space back in 1957. That was the beginning of the space age back then. You would have to be very trusting to pay that kind of money for that little bit of dust.
Yeah, and you have to assume we're going to go to the moon in the future again, so that's going to go down in value because we may be able to go quite a bit.
But there's always going to be only one first.
That's true.
From the first.
That's true.
Weather, more rain chances.
Yeah, I think most of tomorrow looks pretty good. It's going to be warm. It's going to be very windy, high temp of 81. Thunderstorms late tomorrow night into Wednesday morning.
Final sports note.
Pittsburgh State football team is starting their final week of spring ball. Their spring game is on Friday. We're going to hear from the team on getting ready for the spring game right here tomorrow night.
I'm loving it. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget the morning show starts at 5 a.m. and let's make it a great tomorrow.